Now, some news just coming into us. Myanmar's highest court has rejected the final appeal of two Reuters journalists imprisoned for breaking an official secrets law, while Lone and Choi So-u have spent more than 16 months in detention. They were arrested in 2017 while working on an investigation into the killing of 10 Rohingya Muslim men during a military crackdown. Let's go to our correspondent, Scott Heidler. He is tracking that story from Bangkok, and he's joining us from there. The court once again rejecting their appeal. Scott, what happened?
Yes, Elizabeth. Yeah, we just heard within the last couple of minutes. Now, this is a very short Supreme Court session in Myanmar's capital, Naypyidaw. Now, this, as you said, was the last step for these young Reuters journalists in their appeal process to try to overturn a conviction last September that puts them behind bars, keeps them behind bars for 7 years. Now, there was a lower court appeal in Yangon court where this was the first initial trial was heard. That was rejected. And then we knew that they were going to step that up, and they did so last month when they had a hearing in front of the Supreme Court presenting their case, saying that this should be overturned. And then today, on Tuesday, we are now hearing that the Supreme Court has rejected that. No specifics why they reject it, but they just said they're going to uphold that conviction of September last year, Elizabeth.
So what happens now to the two journalists, Scott, who just, I think, last week won the Pulitzer Prize? It's a case that has garnered massive international interest, and one that's, you know, really raised questions about the country's transition to democracy. What are their chances now?
Exactly. Well, right now, as you mentioned, even well before the trial started and we heard the conviction last September, there was an overwhelming support, obviously within journalist communities, but also with human rights communities. The international community, the United Nations, has also chimed in about their case, and that had steadily increased up until September in their trial, after their conviction, and throughout this appeal process. And yes, obviously, because of the way it's believed that this trial went forward, there are great questions, growing questions about that nation's transition to democracy, because you have these two journalists. They contend, their side contends, their attorney contends, that they were set up by police. Actually, in fact, one of a member of the police force in Myanmar, a whistleblower, came forward and said that he had heard that there was a setup in process in the police department to have this go forward. So obviously very sensitive for Myanmar, but right now the highest court in the land in Myanmar rejecting this appeal process. So now, as it stands for these gentlemen, they'll be behind bars for the next 7 years, Elizabeth.
Scott, thank you very much for that. For now, that is Scott Heidler with the latest live in Bangkok. Thank you.